Hi, this is Lady Lex UK, and this is a Dreams tutorial. I've had a request. There's nothing unusual about that. I get requests all the time, and normally they're for Logic tutorials, and I do as many as I possibly can. However, the request has come from Media Molecule. On Thursday's community creation stream, they showed my girl portrait, and they said they'd love to see a tutorial of how that was done, maybe a speed build or something. So, this is all a bit surreal for me because I am not a professional artist. I've never picked up a paintbrush in my life or got a canvas out and done portraits before. And I make a couple of portraits in Dreams, and suddenly everybody wants a tutorial from me. It's a little bit weird. I'm going to do my best, but certainly I can show you the techniques that I use, and we'll do a speed build. As you can see, I have a picture of Mark Healy. Now, I just spent an hour and 3/4 doing a picture of Kareem. You can find that on the Dreamiverse, and discovered after that it didn't record. So I'm gonna have to go again, and I thought I can't do another picture of Kareem. I'm gonna have to do somebody else. So we're gonna do Mark, and we'll see how close I can get it to a likeness. I'm not guaranteeing anything. Right, okay, so you start off, you have a block. This is the default block. We want to change that into a stamp. So there we go, we're in stamp mode now. Right, now we're in stamp mode. We want to go into the shape editor. So that's L1 and square. And I want to make a hole in it because we're going to make a frame. Now, as you can see, I'm not getting a hole. And that's because the hole is appearing on a different face. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into guides, upright and right angles, and although you won't see this, I'm going to turn it, and now we've got the hole. Okay, so now we can see the hole. So we're going to make a frame. So back into shape editor mode, and I'm just going to stretch it with these gizmos. So for portrait, we want it to be slightly higher than it is wide. I think that's quite good. We're going to get it nice, like that sort of size, and then we're going to make that thinner, and about there. That's good for our canvas, and there is our frame. So stamp that down. I think that's a bit thin, so let's make that hole a little bit less thin. I think that's about right. Okay, stamp. Then we're going into start new sculpture, and then we're just going to get rid of the hole, and there is our canvas. Now that is exactly the same size as our frame, so we'll just want it a little bit smaller, not too much. Yep, it's the same dimensions, and that will be good. So pop, there is our frame, and there is our canvas, all the right dimensions and all good to go. Now let's just scope out, move this out of the way. I'm going to clone this, and so we've got two separate sculptures, two different canvases. I want to show you the differences in and what happens with the density of the fleck. So I'm going to go into paintbrush mode, spray paint, and I'm going to scope into this here, and I'm going to paint it white. And I'm scoping to this one and paint that one white. Okay, so we've got our two canvases. Then I'm going to go into tools and sculpture detail, and normally you reduce detail with the R2 button. We're going to change that to increase, and we're going to make this red. There we go, that is now bright red. That's we've increased the detail on that canvas. Let's go back out. Now you can see immediately that this canvas is white and this is grey speckled. And that's because there's a much denser fleck in this particular canvas. I've chosen the heavy. That's probably the correct one for canvas, but you can play about with these different effects to see what you'd like. But this is the one that I stick with. Right, now then, spray paint. We're gonna get a brown, and I'm gonna choose the sphere. I'm gonna scope in. Now we'll just check. We've got soft blend is off, opacity is full. And I'm going to get my brush down to the smallest it will go. And we're going to turn the guide on and turn on surface snap. So we're going to be painting on this surface. I think we can get smaller. I think that's the smallest we can go. There we go. So there's our lines that we've drawn on this canvas. Now let's do the same with this canvas. Scope in. I'm just getting bigger each time. Right, I think you can see the difference immediately. We've got a nice defined thin line over here. And it's all very wishy-washy over here. So that's the difference between the density of that canvas. So in order to get nice fine lines, we need to up the density. Now there is obviously a thermo difference involved here. This is going to be less thermo than this. It depends on how mushy and blurry you want your portrait to be. But I recommend a higher density, gives you more options. Right, so I'm trying to drink a cup of coffee while doing this. Right, let's get rid of that one. We don't want that one, and we can just paint over. There we go. Just paint over after scoping in into our canvas. So, right, what do we do first? Right, we're going to put a ground colour in. I'm going to use this greeny grey colour. I'm going to cover the whole canvas with it, I think. And then I'm going to get some yellow. And we're just going to take the opacity down a tad. There we go. We get that nice halo effect. And we're going to put our portrait in the middle of here. Alright, so we're going to pick a skin tone. I quite like this one. I'm going to take the soft blend down, opacity back up. We're just going to put our skin in, neck area. There we go, that's okay. And now we're going to take our brown brush. I'm going to get it nice and small. Okay, and we're just going to mark out, no pun intended, he's at slight angle, isn't he? So maybe that's better. Right, around about there. So we got one eye there, and we've got an eye here, and we've got a nose here, and the mouth, and the hairline, sort of like that. And And the shape of the face is sort of like that. Now I have a slight disadvantage that you won't have. I'm wired to my PC by a rather inflexible cable, which means I don't have as much flexibility with moving this as I would normally have. That eye is at an angle, so I'll just delete that. Yeah, let me just redo these eyes. I'm not happy with the position of them. It's quite important to get this position of the features exactly right before you start. So if that's right, so it's like a slight angle, isn't he? That's a little bit too much of a line. That's slightly too much. That's slightly too much. Aha! That's better. Okay. So we'll put one eye there. One eye there. Yep, okay, I think we've got the main shape. And then the neck comes down. And we've got a shirt here. So there we go, we've got our main. There we go. There we go. It's exactly the same as you would if you were painting anything on a real canvas. It's exactly the same method. I'm completely new to painting, so I am not the best person to be teaching you painting technique, but anyway, right, so here is our flesh tone. This is our base flesh tone. I'm going to want something a little bit dark, a little bit more peachy perhaps. Right, I'm going to go with that, and we're going to go for a darker version like there, and I'm also going to need a lighter version, so sort of there. So these are going to be my flesh tones that I'm going to use. You're probably going to need about 3 or 4, but you can always put in more. Right, now I'm going to block in my colours. So this is just very, very roughly. I'm just going to block in whereabouts my colours are going to be. Quite a big brush, quite bold. And we've got the nose here, and we've got the shape of this here, and we've got the line here. Okay, grab this. I'm going to put in our eyebrow here. And our eyebrow here. There's always a danger, of course, that I'm going to end up this looking like a girl. We don't want Mark looking like a girl, but it's possible. Right, so once I've blocked out some of my colours, I'm going to block out another colour here. This is the very dark areas. So around that hairline, bit cheek here. It's mostly beard, which is good. Covers it, makes it easier for everybody. Right, okay. So I've blocked in some colour. We'll put in some of this beard, shall we? We'll use this yellow. This is just for guide. There we go. Right, and then goes this moustache. Does it look a bit like, well, Healy yet? Actually, not bad. It doesn't look too bad. Right, okay. Let's go with this dark. Like that. Okay, we're going to blend a bit now. So now that I've got my blocked skin tones in, I'm now going to up the soft blend and take the opacity right down. And now I'm going to soften everything that I have done with my base colour. So you see that the edges are starting to disappear. Now I need that colour to blend in with that one. And as you can see, we are losing those hard edges, and we are getting more of a blend of the two. Right, okay. So this is the basic technique. Now you're going to draw with your paintbrush. You're going to highlight certain areas like this, and then you're going to darken certain areas like this. And so you can see we've got our darker tool, and we're just defining up the whole of the area. Do not worry about completely going over everything you've done, because it will just paint over the top. And you can change your mind. You just take your base and just paint over it. You can also go back with the D-pad if you don't like what you've done. But you have a limited amount of time for that. It's not going to give it you all the way back. So there's a limited how many times you can go back with the D-pad to delete what you've done. But we're getting somewhere with this. So I'm now going to carry on with this drawing, and hopefully we'll have something at the end of it. I'm going to just speed this all up so that we can get going, and you can see the finished result. Okay, off we go. Right. I think I'm going to leave it there because I have a tendency to overwork things. There you go. There's Mark Healy. It sort of looks like him. It's not great, but I think without the photograph, if we just get rid of the photograph and just think, who is that? I think it's okay. I think it looks like him. Right. So there we go. There is our portrait, and we can paint our frame. What colour should we? Pictures look all the better for framing. There we go. I think that's okay. Scope that in. Okay, well I put it on Twitter, and general consensus was that the hair was too big, and I agree. He looks more like Noel Edmonds, and so I trimmed his hair back a bit, and I've lost some of the nice gradation on the yellow, but I think it's better. Anyway, this is the new version now, and there we go. So I hope you've learned something, even if it's just don't give Mark Healy too much hair. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in your dreams.